Rahim, dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today's topic for the lecture includes two subtopics which I will take up one by one. Number one, examination of drunken person, that is medico-legal examination of a person who is under the influence of alcohol. Number two, another alcohol, that is called methyl alcohol poisoning. Before we have discussed ethyl alcohol, and today I will take up methyl alcohol, but of course after discussing examination. Now these poisons, alcohols are all fall under inebriant group of poisons, and inebriants, they belong to cerebral poisons, and cerebral poisons, they belong to neurotic poisons, that means those which act on nervous system. The first inebriant is ethyl alcohol, which has been discussed both acute and chronic. It's very important poison and an SCQ is commonly asked. Today first subtopic is examination of a drunken person, or to diagnose the presence of alcohol in his body. Then after that I will discuss methyl alcohol, and in next lecture tomorrow I will discuss two more neurotic poisons. Number one, the kerosene oil, and number two, cannabis indica. Now kerosene oil belongs to fuels group, and cannabis indica belongs to the deliriant group of neurotic poisons. So classification of neurotic poisons is very important to understand the concept and manifestations of such poisons. Now coming to examination or diagnosis of a drunk person, it's a medico-legal examination. It has a medical part and a legal portion which correlates the medical findings to the intention of the person accused of intake of alcohol, who is usually found drunk by police while driving or just wandering on suspicion. Police also calls a medical examiner, doctor, who examines him and takes some samples for lab analysis, and prepares a report. This examination does not require consent of the accused, as he is not a victim and he is not in his senses, so consent is irrelevant. This examination has two parts. Number one, the clinical examination, and number two, the lab investigations. Now before describing the examination, let us discuss drunkenness. What is drunkenness? Or it may be called as insobriety. So it's a condition which results from excessive intake of alcohol, and the person is so much under its influence that he loses control over his mental faculties, and number two, he is unable to perform his assigned duties at a particular time, and number three, he is a source of danger to himself or others. So these three aspects are found in the drunken person. Drunkenness is prohibited in some countries like Pakistan. So alcohol intake itself is a crime, but in many countries it is not a crime itself. People are allowed to drink, but there is some but if there is some act of commission or omission. Commission means that they are committing some crime under the influence of alcohol, or omission means that they are neglecting something, some gross negligence which is severe, which may cause serious harm. Thus, a person can be charged by police as being drunk and disorderly, or being drunk and driving a vehicle, or in charge of a vehicle. So that means in those countries where alcohol intake is not a crime, but it's a crime to commit, to violate law under its influence. Now coming to the examination of that accused and clinical part of the examination. So if a person has no pathology and no head injury, and and these findings are present in him, then he may be under the influence of alcohol. Number one, smell of alcoholic beverages in his breath or vomitus. Now, alcoholic beverages mean beer or wine or whiskey. Number two, combination of all or most of the following group of symptoms, which I will describe in next slide. Then the person is definitely under the influence of alcohol. So next is, what are signs and symptoms or effects of alcohol on that person. So this is basically a medical part of examination, where a medical examiner or doctor can examine him and find out those signs. So I will discuss these signs and symptoms under the following headings. Number one, general demeanor. Number two, clothes. Number three, eyes. Number four, tongue. Number five, speech. Number six, memory. Number seven, coordination. Then reflexes. Then unusual actions. So these are the headings. Number one heading is general demeanor. The accused person is excited, hilarious, talkative, and uses abusive language. So he seems in a state of excitement, and that is the initial stage of alcohol intake. You have read the stages of alcohol, and you know what is stage of excitement. Number two, clothes of the person. So what is the condition of the clothes? They may be disarranged and disorderly due to any fight or any accident or any carelessness. Number three, what is the condition of eyes? There is suffusion, that means some color, like reddish color, is spread all over the conjunctiva. Pupils may vary from extreme dilatation to extreme contraction and may be equal or unequal. This is called fine, and there is fine lateral nystagmus. Now what is nystagmus? It is involuntary rapid movement of eyeball. So in eyes you can see two important medical conditions. Number one, pupil may be dilated or contracted. Number two, there is nystagmus found. Now coming to the condition of the tongue. This is dry and furred. That means it looks like as it covered with a fur. Fur is found on the thick hair layer on animals. So it looks like a fur. And excessive salivation is seen on the tongue. After that we come to speech. Speech of that alcoholic person is slurred and incoherent. It is difficult to understand what he is saying, and he can also be asked to read out to assess such findings, because when he will read something, the speech will be slurred and incoherent. Number 6 part of examination is memory, examination of memory. There is a loss of memory or confusion, particularly about recent events, and also there is a loss of appreciation of time. Simple arithmetic questions such as simple sums of addition or subtraction may be asked, like if he is asked 2 plus 3, he may not be able to answer it correctly. Now, coming to another effect on coordination of that person, coordination is impaired. This is because the effects on midbrain. He is asked to do simple tasks to do which he is unable, such as he is asked to button the clothes. He will not be able to button them. He will be asked to pick up coins from the floor. He may not be able to pick them. He is asked to walk to see his gait, which is staggering. Then a finger nose test is asked to do. That means he will have to touch his nose with his finger, but he may not be able to do so. So that will be impaired. And also there will be tremors of hand, which will make writing difficult. Then his reflexes will be delayed and sluggish. Then unusual actions like hiccups, belching, vomiting, etc. can be seen. Next is lab investigation. This is part 2 of examination. The common laboratory tests include estimation of alcohol from blood, urine, breath in living. And in living person, if he is caught by police, blood, urine and breath are analyzed for alcohol. And in dead person, if someone has died, then vitreous fluid, bile and other tissues are collected on autopsy and examined for alcohol. Now, how to take blood? Take 5 ml of blood. It is collected by a clean disposable syringe, and 5 milligram of sodium chloride is added as preservative. Now, how to take urine? The urine sample is collected in large clean bottle, and patient or suspected accused is asked to empty the bladder, and a second sample is collected within 30 to 60 minutes. Now, third is breath analysis. The person is asked to blow into a special container or directly into a breath analyzer. It is also called drunkometer, intoximeter or alcometer, and it is a preliminary screening test to measure amount of alcohol in breath. So in 2100 ml of alveolar air is equivalent to amount of alcohol in 1 ml of blood. Some method of alcohol analysis in lab are called Windmark method, enzymatic method and chromatography. So you can study them in detail from the book. So with that, we conclude with ethyl alcohol, all about ethyl alcohol. Next alcohol to discuss is methyl alcohol. So it is the second topic of today's lecture, that is methyl alcohol intoxication or poisoning. Here I give you sources to study at home of ethyl alcohol, drunkenness, methyl alcohol and kerosene oil, which I will take up in the next lecture tomorrow. So these poisons to study, the source I give you for alcohols, you will study from Parekh, section 10 and chapter 50, which is heading is inebriants. So ethyl and methyl alcohols are under inebriants. Now for kerosene oil, you will study chapter 52 of Parekh under the heading fuels. Plus you will also study or revise my lecture notes and slides. You should write these lectures and take notes while listening, and also you can read slides, but you must write those points which I speak, because some points are not mentioned in this slide. Now coming to methyl alcohol, it is also called methanol, and other names for methyl alcohol are wood alcohol, wood spirit and wood naphthalene and carbinol. So these are all names of methyl alcohol. So what are properties of methyl alcohol? It's a colorless liquid with a faint spirit-like odor and a burning, nauseous taste. So smell is like spirit and taste is burning. Now where it is used? It is used in industry for denaturing rectified spirit. So rectified spirit mixed with 5% methyl alcohol is called methylated spirit, and is used in art and manufacture, and is called denatured spirit or denatured alcohol. Also used as antifreeze in gas lines, and it is also used as solvent in paint removers and varnish, etc. So these are uses of methyl alcohol. Now coming to mode of action. Now following points are important concerning the mode of action. It is more toxic than ethyl alcohol. That means methyl alcohol is more toxic than ethyl alcohol. It is converted into formaldehyde and formic acid during metabolism, and these metabolites are responsible for its toxic actions. So it is more toxic, and these toxic actions are due to its metabolites formaldehyde and formic acid. The symptoms correlate with the degree of acidosis. So acidosis is very dangerous sign, and the symptoms, as the acidosis increases, the symptoms get severe. It's a cumulative poison that is excreted slowly, and that is why it is deposited in body tissues. Now these symptoms and signs appear within an hour after ingestion, but are commonly delayed. Poisoning is manifested by headache, dizziness, nausea, vomiting and pain in abdomen. There is marked muscular weakness and depressed cardiac action. There is spirit-like odor or smell in the breath. Dyspnea is present, and dyspnea means difficulty breathing. And cyanosis is also present. So dyspnea and cyanosis are very common findings. Then acidosis develops from accumulation of acid metabolites, because formaldehyde and formic acids are highly acidic, so they cause acidosis. Now this acidosis or these metabolites, they cause blindness in the eyes, which may be temporary to permanent, and atrophy of the optic nerve, in severe cases leading to permanent blindness. So this is very serious sign or damage to eyes, because it may blind the person temporarily or permanent. This poison causes damage to liver and kidneys. Then convulsions are common in fatal cases. So what is convulsion? It's a violent contraction of muscles, and death occurs from respiratory failure. So this respiratory failure, you may call it asphyxia, is a mode. It's not cause. Cause of death is methyl alcohol poisoning, and the mode of death is respiratory failure or asphyxia. Now diagnostic finding is contraction of intestine of small bowel or large bowel, or both, resembling a thick pipe of narrow lumen. Of course, this finding will be on autopsy if the person dies. Now, fatal dose of methyl alcohol or methanol is 60 to 240 milliliter, and fatal period is death usually occurs within 24 to 36 hours, or may be delayed for 3 to 4 days. That was about signs and symptoms. Now the treatment of methyl alcohol poisoning, for that you have to take the following steps. Number 1, you have to prevent absorption by gastric lavage. Number 2 will be use of bicarbonates. Number 3 will be administration of ethanol. Number 4 will be use of a specific antidote, and number 5 will be hemodialysis. So these are steps of treatment, but I just describe them each. Number 1, to prevent absorption from intestine, gastric lavage is done with 5% solution of sodium bicarbonate in warm water. And to combat or stop acidosis, oral administration of sodium bicarbonate in a dose of 2 gram, that means half teaspoon in 250 ml water, every 2 hours to maintain neutral or slightly alkaline urine. If orally it is not possible, then give 50 gram of sodium bicarbonate dissolved in 1 liter of 5% dextrose solution, given intravenously along with 10 to 15 units of insulin. The plasma bicarbonate level should be maintained at around 20 milliequivalent per liter. So that is how you will stop or end acidosis. Number 3 is administration of ethanol as competitive antagonist. So here it is interesting that ethyl alcohol, which itself is a poison, is being given as an antagonist. So oral administration of 50% ethyl alcohol in a dose of 0.75 to 1 ml per kg body weight for 3 to 4 days is beneficial. It prevents methanol oxidation to formaldehyde and formic acid, which are more toxic metabolites. And this ethyl alcohol also helps in its excretion through urine and breath. Next is specific antidote for methyl alcohol is 4-methylpyrazole that can be given. And next step is hemodialysis is done, and the indications for that are ocular findings when eyes are affected, metabolic acidosis, renal failure, when blood methanol level is over and above 50 milligram per 100 ml. So these are few indications for use of hemodialysis. Number 6 is folinic acid. This can be used to speed up metabolism of formic acid. Number 7, rest of the treatment is symptomatic. Eyes should be kept covered to protect from strong light. Next step is autopsy finding in a case of methanol poisoning. So most probably the person will die. So there is on autopsy examination, examiner will find there is marked cyanosis, blood is fluid and dark, cerebral edema and pulmonary edema. The GIT mucosa is inflamed. In liver, he will find necrobiosis, and in kidneys, tubular degeneration is seen. So specimen collected for chemical analysis or number 1, the uveal viscera, that is stomach, intestine, liver, spleen, kidney, and then specific specimens for in methyl alcohol poisoning are blood, CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, and vitreous fluid, and all these are sent to forensic science lab via police. Coming to medico-legal aspects or medico-legal importance of methanol poisoning, it can be accidental and it can be homicidal. Most commonly it is accidental due to consumption of liquor containing methyl alcohol by drinkers who are using cheap liquor. So methanol is added to it by accident or design or planning for economic gains by the sellers. So what happens is that the drinkers are poor people. They they don't have enough money, so they buy cheap ethyl alcohol or drink, but there is contamination. It is contaminated with methyl alcohol. So because the seller wants to save money, because methanol or methyl alcohol is very cheap, but that is the reason for accidental poisoning, and it automatically becomes homicidal, because if he is knowingly adding methyl alcohol, then that means this points towards homicidal aspect. With that, I conclude today's lecture. Thank you very much.